Tonight, Cafe TO may be here to stay.
Without the Cafe TO, we couldn't survive for sure.
It has been a lifeline for many restaurants in Toronto during the pandemic. Now, Mayor John Tory is endorsing a proposal to make the outdoor dining program permanent. Plus,
when we heard this story, I was just angry. We know how dangerous this intersection is.
questions are being asked about the safety of Toronto roads after two pedestrians were killed yesterday, a 17-year-old student and an 81-year-old man. And
It's good!
The Toronto Raptors are back. It's the day fans have been waiting for. The Raptors kicking off their season with their first home game at Scotiabank Arena since February 2020. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. First it was the Leafs, now it's the Raptors' turn, opening their regular season here in Toronto after a long time away. Greg Ross joins us live from outside Scotiabank Arena. Greg, there's been so much anticipation. What was the energy like in there tonight?
Well, Calder, I can tell you, it was electric in that building early on in the night before this game started, even early on in the game. But then the Washington Wizards started to pull away from the Raptors on the scoreboard, and I think some of the energy was kind of taken out of the building. But I think people were still happy, and the reason they're happy is because their Raptors are back. You mentioned it. The last time the Raptors played a regular season home game here at Scotiabank Arena was February 28th of 2020. They've been on the road essentially, playing all of their games in the United States since then. But let's face it, the Raptors had waited longer than any professional sports team in this city to come back home, and finally tonight they were able to do that. A very special pregame before this one, which included a video of a young woman who read a poem talking about everything that the Raptors have been through since the start of this pandemic, talking about the road home and getting back home tonight. After that, the players kind of gathered at center court. Fred Van Vliet took the mic. He addressed the crowd. It was kind of emotional, talking about how happy they were to be home, how happy they were to be in front of these fans again. And again, we mentioned the Raptors weren't able to pull out the victory for these fans on this night, but I think a lot of people left this building relatively happy because their team is back.
First game back, you couldn't have asked for a better game back. I mean, we could have won, but other than that, it really was as good as it was going to get.
To feel the energy of the crowd, it was really nice.
It was really nice, really nice. It's good to be back.
I was here for the last run in Jurassic Park, and it was crazy, and it was good to see that energy back in the building. So
it was really good to see them back after 584 days, but to see this loss it's heartbreaking, but it is what it is.
So the Raptors suffer a 98-83 loss at the hands of the Washington Wizards, but definitely some positives that you can take out of this game, like being able to see Scotty Barnes playing in his first regular season game for the Raptors. He was their first-round pick earlier this summer, 4th overall. He looked pretty good in this game. He finished with 12 points and 9 rebounds for the Raptors. Barnes also got a huge ovation when he was announced before the game. We also got a chance to see Delano Banton, a Toronto native, who had 7 points in this game, including a buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter that really got the fans on their feet. What a special night for him, playing here at the building that he grew up coming to and the team that he grew up cheering for. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
You know, definitely through the adversity throughout the whole game with the team, you know, we never felt anything from the fan base to where, you know, they felt we were out of the game at any point, and just, you know, that constant push from them is kind of what helped us, you know, get back into it there in the fourth. But, you know, just to play in front of your home crowd and hear that noise and hear that chant, you know, is great. And, you know, I appreciate all the fans for just, you know, loving me and, you know, taking me in with such open arms.
One of the new faces on this Raptors team, a very different team than the one that left us back in February of 2020. A lot of new faces for these fans to get used to, but there's still plenty of basketball left to play this season. Calder, they'll have lots of time to get used to not only seeing their Raptors back home, but all of those new faces in the lineup.
Yeah, looking forward to the next one. Thanks so much, Greg. That's our Greg Ross live for us tonight. Hundreds of restaurant patios along the city's sidewalks and streets could soon be here to stay. A City of Toronto report is recommending the popular Cafe TO program be made permanent and fees for the program to be waived again next year. As Dale Manukduk reports, many, including the mayor, support the idea.
Red Rocket Cafe is putting their curbside patio furniture away for the night and in a few weeks for all of winter. But for now, they'll continue to be grateful.
It was a lifesaver to be able to put patios and chairs outside so that we could have almost the same capacity that we would have indoors.
And that may be the case next year. Mayor John Tory is endorsing a proposal to make Cafe TO permanent. The program has grown exponentially since being introduced last summer. This year, Cafe TO is supporting more than 1,200 restaurants with expanded outdoor dining.
It has positively impacted on our city. It has positively impacted on hospitality businesses that call Toronto home. And that's because we took the decision, simple as it may seem, to turn parking spaces into much needed patios.
That part of it does have some business owners concerned.
I lost customers because my customers come in, they park over there, come into my shop. So I'm losing business in that sense.
But overwhelmingly, restaurant and bar owners are thrilled. There are 12 linear kilometers of public space in the city allocated for outdoor dining. Of the 1,200 or so restaurants in the program, 940 have curb lane closures. That includes Pomerosa, whose outdoor capacity is greater than the indoor capacity.
Before pandemic, our capacity was about 20-25, but we extended the kitchen a little bit. Now we have less. And here we can see about 30 people.
Hernandez says his business wouldn't have survived without Cafe TO. It allowed him to keep his employees and give them enough hours. He believes Cafe TO brings a vibrancy to Toronto as colorful as the drinks he serves.
I see music on the patios. I see like people sharing a good time outdoors. I think it's even better than before.
And people in Toronto agree. The city conducted a survey and received more than 10,000 responses. 91% believe that extended sidewalk and curb lane cafes should be a part of the city's future. The city is also recommending a 15% tax reduction for qualifying small businesses. The proposal will be considered by the city's executive committee next week. If approved, it will go in front of full city council in November. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
There are renewed calls on the city to improve pedestrian safety after 2 people were struck and killed yesterday. A 17-year-old girl was fatally struck by a vehicle while walking near her school at Birchmount and Danforth just before the lunch hour. Then last night, a man in his 80s was killed at Pape and O'Connor. Chris Glover reports.
A heaviness hangs over Birchmount Park Collegiate Institute today following the death of a grade 12 student, identified by a family friend as Nadia Mozumder.
The students and staff are extremely impacted by this, especially having something so tragic happen so close to our school.
Yesterday, just before noon, Nadia was crossing nearby Danforth when police say she was struck and killed by a Dodge Caravan.
I'm just outside the house where the mom is. I think she's still in shock. She's just still processing through it. Nadia was her only child. Nadia was her caregiver. Nadia was her world.
MPP for the area, Dolly Begum, says she's known Nadia since she was a little girl and will remember her as a volunteer with big dreams to support her community.
It's extremely just heartbreaking. It's just unbelievable.
Today, as a memorial grows at the site where Nadia was killed, a team of social workers and psychologists are helping others at the school. While the police investigation continues, some warn this could happen again.
When we heard this story, I was just angry. We know how dangerous this intersection is. People just gun it through here at 60, 70, 80 kilometers an hour, and the city doesn't seem to do anything about it.
The school board trustee says he's working with the city after parents alerted him to the ongoing threat.
It's a question we're looking to explore pending the police investigation and how schools and the city can work together.
Just 9 hours after the collision that killed Nadia, an 81-year-old man was crossing O'Connor Drive east of Pape when he was struck and killed by an 82-year-old man driving a Porsche.
My heart sinks every time one of these is reported. All it does is redouble my determination with my colleagues to continue to have even more of the measures that we have introduced.
Mayor John Tory says hundreds of speed limits have been reduced citywide and speed cameras and speed bumps installed. But
the principal responsibility remains and rests with the people who have their two hands on a steering wheel and their foot on the gas pedal.
A message too late for the 46 lives already lost on Toronto streets this year. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Peel police say a 13-year-old girl is in hospital with serious but stable injuries after being struck by an SUV this morning. It happened just before 8:30 in a residential area near the Gore Road and Castlemore. The driver remained at the scene. No charges have been laid. Police are continuing to investigate. Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, a mostly cloudy day, but temperatures like yesterday still pretty mild.
Yeah, very mild today, Cal. To put that in perspective, the average for this time of year, about 12 degrees for the city of Toronto. Our daytime high today, up to 19 degrees, 21 in Windsor. So some very mild temperatures across southern Ontario. Peterborough actually checked in at 20 degrees as well. Now, in terms of precipitation, of course, we had some rainfall earlier today. It sort of tapered off into the later afternoon hours, but more to come. And this system is going to do a couple of things. Of course, it's going to make for some wet weather tomorrow, but it's also going to drag temperatures down. So look for wet weather for the morning commute, then a bit of a break, and then into the late morning, early afternoon hours, we've got another line coming through, and this likely to trigger off some showers and thunderstorms for the GTA. On and off showers throughout the afternoon hours tomorrow as well. And in behind it, as things clear out tomorrow night, we've got cooling temperatures. Now, not so for tomorrow. 13 degrees tonight, which is very mild. 18 for tomorrow, another warm day. It is toward the end of the week, though, that we're looking at a cool down. Full details on that coming up in just a bit.
Thanks so much, Nick. A program that deploys specially trained Toronto police officers to mental health calls has been suspended due to staffing issues. In a memo obtained by CBC, the Toronto Police Service says for the time being, the officers are needed to help answer all emergency calls, not just mental health ones. Farah Morali has more.
It's a call that's grown louder over the past year, a change to how police respond to mental health calls. Earlier this year, Toronto Police launched its Divisional Crisis Support Officer program. It trains and deploys dedicated officers to fill in when the existing mobile crisis intervention teams aren't available. But those trained officers have now been told they'll no longer be dedicated to mental health calls. We obtained this memo sent out last month, which says the deployment of Divisional Crisis Support Officers is being temporarily suspended. It states, due to the current staffing pressures, those officers are to remain in the frontline primary response unit role. It adds, the hope is to return to the model as staffing allows and that training should still continue.
How are we going to make this better?
Hassan Chaudhry is a nephew of Ijaz Chaudhry, who was fatally shot by police during a mental health crisis. Though that happened in Peel, Chaudhry says he's disappointed to hear the program is being suspended in Toronto.
It's worrisome that instead of taking a better step to forward, meaning trying to figure out how we can, help out in these crisis calls, we're taking a step back.
In a statement, Toronto Police denied the program as being, quote, suspended. Instead, it told us the program is being reimagined as it prioritizes staffing in primary response units across the city. It said that instead of having one dedicated officer on each shift, it's training more officers to be better prepared to respond to mental health calls.
I see it as a great opportunity. It is time that we come together, bringing together all relevant stakeholders, police, community, mental health experts.
Some experts say it's time to rethink entirely the police role in responding to crises.
Police should not be the de facto first responders in mental health crises. There are alternative models, and there are a lot that we can do to improve the crisis experience and outcomes for people that struggle with mental health issues.
The City of Toronto is piloting a program that would do just that next year, employing crisis workers with expertise in mental health and de-escalation to replace Toronto Police as the first responders for certain 911 calls.
We have to move on and actually go and make a change.
For family members like Hassan, the hope is for concrete change to prevent another death. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Earlier this week, Pfizer asked Health Canada to approve the first COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. Today, Toronto officials say they are preparing for the rollout when the time comes.
There are, issues around making sure that parents and the caregivers and guardians are informed with the resources or equipped with the resources that they need in order to make good decisions. And for those of us who are parents, there is, it still involves a needle, and this elicits some fear and anxiety for little people, and that's not always easy to deal with.
The city says it has established a strategy to reach more than 20,000 children in the coming weeks through school, community, and mass vaccination clinics. Dr. Eileen Davila says more information on how parents can get their kids vaccinated will be available very shortly. Meanwhile, among Toronto residents who are currently eligible, 83% are fully vaccinated, while 87% have had at least one dose. Welcome back. There's a growing movement to make sure all Torontonians have equal access to the city's green spaces. Research shows that people from lower income and racialized neighborhoods are getting fewer of the benefits associated with being in nature. As Kate McGillivray reports, there are groups trying to change that.
There was a time when Flemington Park's Lubna Raymond thought that the city's green spaces weren't for her. Then, during the pandemic, she began walking and meditating in a park along the Don River every day.
In the beginning, I also used to think the same thing, that these people are only for the whites. We immigrants, we don't go out because we don't feel comfortable. But now, after coming here, I say everyone should come.
Raymond's making it her mission to open that door to others. Working with park people, she is a volunteer ravine champion, doing outreach work and organizing walks for her neighbors.
I always bring them here, talk to them, and they really enjoy here.
Encouraging people to get out with incentives was really important in what we learned through the pandemic.
Minaz Asani Kanji says it isn't that there are no parks in underserved areas. It's often that they don't have programs or amenities to draw people in. That doesn't mean there aren't big differences across the city. The number of trees varies widely from neighborhood to neighborhood. Researchers say that can affect everything from property values to air quality.
You will know when you're driving, crossing an intersection, from the tree canopy, the wealth of that community.
The city's recent Vital Signs report compiled research about who is getting the benefits from being outdoors. It found that people in Northwest Toronto and Western Scarborough were significantly less likely to report a mental health boost from time spent outside, especially when compared to people in richer, leafier parts of the city.
We just knew that we wanted to make some type of social media campaign that really targeted BIPOC communities.
The All Out campaign posts images of racialized people enjoying the outdoors. It also gives tips and tricks to help them get started. Melanie Rayshak Wong says the reaction has been impressive.
People on the internet really, these images were resonating with them. They were seeing representation, seeing role models outdoors.
One more way to encourage more Torontonians to get outside and enjoy the city's green spaces. Kate McGillivray, CBC News, Toronto.
And a beautiful full moon out there tonight on this fall evening. Don't take our word for it. There's lots of time to head outside and see it for yourself. It's still relatively mild out there, but the cool down is coming. Let's go back to Nick now with a look at your extended forecast. And Nick, we have some wet weather on tap.
Yeah, we do. We've got rain showers and actually some thunderstorms to talk about for tomorrow afternoon. And this is going to change our weather pattern. We're going to see dropping temperatures and some windy conditions moving into the end of the week. There's a look at your weather headlines. Above seasonal temperatures again for tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier on, but take your umbrella. The rainfall, and a bit of a reality check for Friday as temperatures fall back down to actually below seasonal, and they'll stay that way heading into the weekend. Here's a look at the rainfall forecast now. Again, through tonight, we've got developing showers. We'll likely see some morning showers. That's for the morning commute. Then it sort of breaks up a little bit in the morning. Then late morning into the early afternoon hours, we're looking at another line of showers and likely some thunderstorms embedded within this as well, moving across the region. That is going to be the story for tomorrow afternoon, then sort of on and off showers into tomorrow evening before things begin to clear out. In behind it, we've got dropping temperatures. By Friday, a mix of sun and cloud to mostly cloudy skies at times. should stay dry, but you'll definitely notice the cooler temperatures as we head toward Friday, and our overnight lows as well. Watch for that in just a sec here in our long-range forecast. Overnight lows for tonight, actually very mild, 15, 13 degrees. Tomorrow, again, we're looking at highs that are going to be in the high teens there. For southwestern Ontario, this is just a hair above the seasonal mark. Gusty conditions as well, by the way, up to about 50 kilometers per hour. Terms of the winds. For the Golden Horseshoe, again, a mild night, 13 degrees, rain showers developing. Tomorrow, highs to about 18 degrees, which is similar to what we had today. But then it changes into the end of the week. Here's a look at your long-range forecast. A couple things I want to point out. All of these temperatures from Friday to Monday at or below the seasonal mark. But look at our overnight lows. We're looking at temperatures that are going to be approaching the freezing mark. So I do think some areas outside of the GTA will actually hit the freezing mark. For us in the city of Toronto, we're going to stay just above it there. But bear in mind, the average for this time of year, about 12 degrees. So we're going from about 6-7 degrees above seasonal to a couple degrees below. Calda.
Thanks so much, Nick. Finally tonight, a Toronto man isn't letting the memories of his late wife be forgotten. Bartholomew Turi lost his wife Maria of 64 years in 2019. Since her passing, he began planting sunflowers to keep her spirit alive and bring joy to others, all while honoring her love of gardening.
Now I'm going to play a very old song. It's 250 years old from Beethoven. I planted these sunflowers in memory of my wife, Maria. She died 3.5 years ago. We used to have lots of flowers. When my wife got sick, we had a bed to sell the house, and we bought a condo here. And with a little seed I put in, look at how tall they are. The one is almost 3.5 meters tall. And I planted altogether 20, the 8 in the front and the rest were in the back. Oh, I like sunflowers, and the people who live here, they all like it, no? I was the flower man, the garden man.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.